P.K. Singh, Director, Commercial and Additional Charge Projects, Ms. Parminder Chopra, Director, Finance. I now hand over to Mr. R.S. Dillon for his opening comments, after which we can take the Q&A. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I welcome you all to this conference call. Today we have declared our results for the fourth quarter and financial year ending March 2021, and I have arranged this call to share with you PFC's performance for the period. As you all know that the past 1 year has been extraordinarily difficult year for all of us, resulting in both economic and social hardship. In spite of all the challenges faced, I am proud to say that PFC has been able to withstand the headwinds and has delivered remarkable profits in all the 4 quarters of FY21. The key highlights for the financial year 2021. On this note, I would like to share that in FY21, PFC registered the highest ever annual profit of rupees 8,444 crores, a jump of 49% from FY20. Acknowledging the role shareholders play in our growth, we are happy to share our success with them. Our announcement this afternoon regarding final dividend of rupees 2 per share stands testament to this fact. Thus, in FY21, PFC has given a total dividend of rupees 10 per share, that is 100%. With this, PFC continues with its trend of delivering extraordinary shareholder return. Further, considering the challenging times, our focus this year has been on strengthening our balance sheet. This is demonstrated by the fact that our net worth saw 16% growth from FY20. Our capital levels improved by more than 180 basis points over FY20, and can be seen that our current CRAR is at 18.83%, which is well above the regulatory limits. Also, I would like to share that in FY21, PFC diversified its lending to new segments in power sector. Recently, PFC has extended financial assistance of rupees 570 crores for deploying 700 electric vehicles under FAME 2 mobility platform supported by Government of India and Government of UK. PFC funded one of the largest 1,200 megawatt solar, wind, hybrid, pump storage hydro project with a sanction amount of rupees 5,429 crores. Thus, PFC is constantly focused on exploring new business avenues in the power sector. Now sharing some of the key financial indicators. For FY21, the yield is at 10.58%. Although there is a slight dip in the yield compared to FY20, but it continues to be within our targeted range. The dip is due to suppressed interest income on account of refund of interest on interest and delayed charges of around 291 crores charged during the moratorium period, in line with the Supreme Court order and RBI directive. Also, in the second quarter of FY21, to align with the market, PFC has reduced its lending interest rates across the board by around 25 basis points to maximum 40 basis points. Therefore, the impact of such reduction is also being seen in yield. Further, considering the ample liquidity in the market, our cost of funds for FY21 reduced by almost 30 basis points to 7.48% from FY20. Driven by stable yield and reducing cost of funds, the spread for FY20 is at 3.10% and NIM is at 3.54%. Also, keeping in view the market scenario, in April this year, we have further passed on the interest rate benefit to our borrowers, and accordingly going forward, we expect the NIM to be around 3%. Further, I would like to update that both the domestic and international credit rating agency have reaffirmed our credit rating. This reflects PFC's strong business fundamentals. Coming to the consolidated numbers, at consolidated level also, PFC Group delivered a robust performance. In financial year 21, PFC Group loan asset book crossed rupees 7 lakh crore mark. With this, PFC continues to be the largest group in India power sector space. Further, the consolidated PAT for financial year 21 is at rupees 15,716 crores, a 66% increase from FY20. On the operational front too, both PFC and REC are making concerted efforts to align their policies and operations to achieve business synergies. I am glad to see that PFC has successfully sailed through the pandemic and delivered a strong performance, which clearly shows PFC's inherent strength and ability to absorb economic shocks. Now turning to PFC's loan asset side. Our loan asset book as on 31st March 2021 is at rupees 3,70,771 crores. In this context, I would like to highlight that in FY21, our distribution asset portfolio grew significantly, primarily due to disbursements under the government Atmanirbhar Discom package. Also, loan asset growth in renewable energy and conventional generation comparatively slowed down due to the COVID pandemic. Further, there has been extraordinary prepayment of around rupees 20,000 crores this year. This is mainly due to prepayment of loans by central and state PSUs on account of clearance of their dues by discoms under the Atmanirbhar Discom package and due to refinancing of some of PFC's renewable loan assets. This has resulted in subdued loan asset growth of 7.5%. After excluding this extraordinary event, PFC loan asset growth is 13%. Going forward, we will continue our efforts of tapping new loan assets as the economy recovers. But given the current shrink expected in GDP numbers and the surplus liquidity in the system, as of now, we envisage a marginal growth for PFC over the current levels. Coming to the loan asset quality. On the loan asset side, I am happy to share that even during the economic slowdown, PFC has successfully resolved approximately 25% of its stressed assets book. PFC stressed asset book as on 31st March 2020 was rupees 27,872 crores, which has come down to rupees 21,150 crores. PFC achieved successful resolution of rupees 6,844 crores in 4 stressed projects, that is SR transmission loan of rupees 438 crores, Suzlon Energy loan of rupees 915 crores, RKM Power Gen loan of rupees 5,105 crores, and Jal Power loan of rupees 386 crores, which was resolved in Q4 this year. Sufficient provisioning was available against these loans, and we do not have any major impact on the P&L. Thus, our target resolution approach has resulted in lowest NPA levels in the last 4 years. The gross NPA ratio is at 5.70% compared to 8.08% in FY20. The net NPA ratio is at 2.09% compared to 3.80% in FY20. Further, we continue to constantly pursue resolution of the stressed assets, and I would like to share that currently in 2 projects worth rupees 2,109 crores, We are in advanced stage of resolution and we expect the resolution to close soon. These two projects are Jhabua Power Loan of rupees 764 crores. It is a 600 megawatt commission project being resolved in NCLT. The lenders to the project have given in principle approval to the resolution plan and the same shall be submitted to NCLT for approval. Essar Power MP loan of rupees 1,345 crores. It is a 2 into 600 megawatt commission project being resolved in NCLT. The final resolution plan for the project has been received and is under discussion by the lenders. With the resolution happening in these projects, we expect the NPA levels to come down in the future. Also, I would like to update that our standard book has largely remained intact except for majorly one borrower slipping to stage 3 in Q4, that is Sinnar Power Transmission loan of rupees 161 crores. On the provisioning front, I would like to highlight that due to resolution of stage 3 assets and their upgradation, provisioning in absolute terms has decreased against stage 3 assets, but overall provisioning coverage continues to be maintained at 63%. We feel that these provisioning levels are adequate for future resolution. Further, provisioning has been enhanced under stage 1 and stage 2 based on our ECL model, which is being worked out by reputed external agency. Under stage 1, as informed in our earlier calls, the increase is majorly due to creation of additional provisioning of around rupees 600 crores against 10 JETCO on account of shifting of rating from category B to category C. Under stage 2, the provisioning increase is firstly on account of upgradation of stage 3 assets on resolution, wherein 10% provisioning has been maintained as a prudent measure. Further, in 2 loan assets, even though our overdues are beyond 90 days, they have been classified as stage 2 in view of the stay granted by the courts on their stage 3 classification. On these loan assets, provisioning has been created similar to stage 3 assets and interest income is being booked on cash basis only. Therefore, this has led to increase in stage 2 provisions. Also in government sector loans, which has been classified in stage 2 due to payment overdues, additional provisioning as per the ECL model has been created. However, currently all dues up to March have been cleared. Thus, under our ECL model, PFC has sufficient provisioning buffer for stage 1, stage 2 and stage 3 assets. Now, before we move to the borrowing side, I would like to share a status update on Government of India Atmanirbhar Discom scheme. Under the Atmanirbhar Discom scheme, so far PFC has sanctioned rupees 67,699 crores and disbursed rupees 38,089 crores. For PFC and its subsidiary REC combined together, sanctions stand at rupees 1,34,782 crores and disbursement stands at 78,855 crores. We are expecting the pace of disbursement to pick up as disbursement for tranche 2 are in the pipeline. Now coming to the liabilities side. First of all, I would like to share that PFC is well positioned in terms of liquidity. PFC has liquidity surplus in all its time buckets up to 1 year. Moreover, we have adopted the RBI liquidity risk management framework for NBFCs, wherein from 1st December 2020, NBFCs are required to maintain a minimum prescribed liquidity coverage ratio, which is to be gradually increased to a level of 100% by December 2024. Currently, PFCs liquidity coverage ratio is within the regulatory limits of 50%. As is evident, PFC is actively committed in managing its liquidity profile. Coming to the borrowing portfolio, PFC's constant endeavors has been to diversify its borrowing portfolio. In this direction, during FY21, PFC stepped into the retail bond market and successfully raised rupees 4,429 crores through public issuance of taxable bonds. Further, as part of our diversification strategy, we also mobilized USD 900 million from the foreign market, which helps in achieving market diversification. I would like to reiterate that PFC would continue to focus on exploring new funding avenues and tapping new investor base for its funding requirement. Further, I would like to emphasize that even during pandemic, PFC faced no challenge in raising funding from domestic and international markets. This reflects confidence of the market in PFC business and its credit profile. Also, you all may be aware that the pandemic has led to a lot of volatility in the forex market. Therefore, considering the risk associated with PFC's foreign currency borrowing portfolio, we have been continuously monitoring our forex positions. Accordingly, in FY21, PFC enhanced its exchange risk hedge ratio from 66% in FY20 to 86% in FY21 for portfolio with residual maturity of up to 5 years. Further, 100% exchange risk for US loans with residual maturity of up to 5 years has been covered. We believe that with this, PFC's bottom line is adequately protected from foreign exchange fluctuations. Business going forward. Before I wrap up, I would like to share our thought on the business strategy going forward. Keeping in view the government thrust towards renewable and clean energy sources, PFC will continue to focus on funding renewable energy projects. Also, PFC is tapping emerging opportunities in e-mobility space. Further, as being a strategic partner of Government of India, PFC will be an instrumental financial partner in government reform schemes for power sector like the proposed rupees 3 trillion power reform package, Atmanirbhar Discom scheme, etc. Thus, we believe that PFC has ample business opportunities going forward. To conclude, I would like to say that for more than 3 decades, PFC has been regularly delivering strong financial performance. We remain confident that with our focused approach, PFC will continue to register higher revenue and drive strong results for our shareholders. Thanking you, and now we are open to questions.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. The first question is from the line of Maru Padajania from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Thank you for your detailed commentary. Sir, I actually missed 2 names. You had named 4 accounts that were resolved in Q4. 2 were RKM and Jal Power. What are the first 2 and their amounts?
So these were SR Transmission 438 and Suzlon Energy Loan, 950.
Okay, sir. So, and in any of these four, was there any recovery? You said provisions were adequate, but was there any recovery or?
Yes, we were able to recover in the range of around 45 to 65%.
Okay, and they were not fully provided for. So
No, these were fully provided for.
fully provided for, and you were okay. Got it, sir.
Right.
Sir, and apart from Jhabua and SRMP, are there any other resolutions in the pipeline? These may happen immediately, but any others which would take longer but still happen over 12 to 15 months?
So during I think the current year, we should be able to look at Dance Energy and Shiga Energy. These are the hydro projects in Sikkim. So these
Which
are
is the second one, sir? Second one is which one after that?
Shiga Energy.
Okay.
Otherwise, we have projects in NCLT at different stages, and because of COVID, these are slow, so we expect that those also will be resolved.
But any big or prominent ones there?
Then Lanco Amarkantak project is there, where 2 units are operating, and 2 have been around 74% completed. So that is one of them. And KSK may take further time, where 3 units have been commissioned and 4th is under construction.
Got it, sir. Okay, sir. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Hardik Shah from SBI Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Sir, could you guide us about your borrowing plans for the current year?
This will be around 1 lakh crore.
This is over and above whatever you borrowed so far?
No, this is the overall for the year.
For the year, it is 1 lakh crores as approved by our board of directors.
As of now, how much have you done for?
Till now, we have not done except for a very small borrowing under 54 inch.
Okay. Yeah, okay, that's it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. A reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question, will press star and 1 now. The next question is from the line of Kunal Shah from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, sir. Congratulations for full year's financial performance. So firstly, in terms of margins, given that we have revised the rates across the board quite significantly, so how should we expect in terms of the repricing to play through, because we have revised it from 3-year reset to 1-year reset as well. So how should we expect in terms of the yield behavior going forward? And this will be more on the incremental loans, I believe, or it would be even for the existing loans. So if you can just help us understand over like 1 or 2 years how this entire repricing would play through with the revision in the rate.
So as indicated, we have revised our lending rates in April 2000 this year, and this is for the new lending. These will be the rates, and for the existing lending, whenever the reset is there, that will be repriced. So normally we have loans with a larger component in 3 years reset. So these will be repriced over the 3 years, and we are thinking of giving an option to the borrower also, that if he wants to get that upfront, then we are thinking of sharing the advantage to the borrower with certain percentage. So going forward, these loans will be repriced, and the present NIM, which is around 3.5%, we are expecting that will come down to around 3 to 3.25%.
Okay, but the proportion maybe with this 3-year reset, what is the kind of a component which can come in for the maturity over next 1 year? And I think still compared to the rate cut, we are not seeing so much of a pressure on the margins. It will take some time. It will take at least like 2 to 3 years to get it fully reflected in terms of yields.
So considering that 3 years this reset is distributed over the next 3 years, so 1/3 of
Okay. So broadly 1/3 can come in for this fiscal and that can get revised by the quantum.
Numbers percentage which we are talking about.
Sure. And secondly, in terms of the provisioning, so in terms of the existing projects during the quarter, how have we increased the provisioning coverage towards any particular project? Maybe 2-3 projects wherein we would have increased the coverage given that there are delays in the resolution.
So this I will, Parminder ma'am will be our DA.
Sure.
See, the current disbursement in this quarter, whatever has been made, are categorized as under stage 1. And as per ECL model, we are making the provision. And if we talk of the total, including that 10 JETCO which sir has shared with you, where we have increased the provisioning which is falling under stage 1, we have on an average 0.40% provisioning under the stage 1 assets.
No, so stage 1 has been more or less flat quarter on quarter. I was just checking in terms of stage 3. The additional 500 odd crores which has been done in this particular quarter. So which projects do they actually pertain to? And would it be like maybe the resolutions which we are seeing getting delayed, that's more or less adequately covered in terms of the provisioning?
As sir has said, there has been increase in the stage 3 assets. One, we have added a new asset, Sinnar transmission line. Apart from that, we have increased provisioning in few of the loans like Sinnar thermal power also. We have increased the provisioning amount. Apart from there is an increase in the Lanco also and Southeast also. Since there has been delay in the NCLT process, so based on that, the additional provisioning as per our ECL model has been made.
Okay. And what has got resolved, because there is absolute decline of 200 odd crores after this addition. So this would be JAL or there would be some other assets which has got upgraded from stage 3?
See, for fourth quarter, it's only JAL Power which has been upgraded.
It's only JAL Power, no? Okay, got it. And the last question in terms of dividend policy. So this time we had seen almost 30% kind of payout. There was 2 rupee of final dividend over and above the interim. So now we would continue with this guidelines of 30% payout or 5% of net worth, whichever is the higher. How should we actually look at it going forward?
No, going forward also we will endeavor to meet this DP guidelines of 5% of net worth and 30% of that.
And in case of any deviation or for any reasons, if we can't follow that, then we have to have the specific approval. We can apply for that and we can get that approval from DP.
Okay, sure. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next question is from the line of Subrat Trivedi from SBI Life. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking my question. The first is, I couldn't follow when you said that state government sector, there were certain accounts which had moved to stage 2 and as of March, all overdues were cleared. If you could throw a bit more light on it, like which accounts were these, when had they moved to stage 2, and as of March, are they completely zero overdue?
So, state sector, sometimes there is delay in making payment because the state GENCOs were not covered under the liquidity package. So they have an issue for payment. And Like in Rajasthan, we had some issues, and in AP. So, but ultimately they are paid within the 90 days limit. And as on March, as indicated, there was not much overdues. All dues, actually, all dues.
State sector loan, all dues have been paid, whichever was stage 2 as on 31st of March 2021.
As in, they are still in stage 2, or they moved to stage 1 now after payment?
See, that is, we are talking about 31st March, dues have been cleared by them.
Okay. And second question was on funds raised during FY21, and how much of it was through bonds?
That our DF will be answering.
We have raised from bonds, we have raised approximately 41,000 crores.
And total?
Total funds. We have raised 81,062 crores. 81,062 crores, out of which approximately 50% was raised through private placement of bonds. And we have gone ahead with one public issuance of bonds for 4,429 crores.
Okay. So 81,000 includes bonds, bank loans, everything put together, right? Even the foreign currency debt.
Right.
This was the total borrowing.
Okay. And slippages, you mentioned only one account, 160 crores. That was the only account which slipped in the entire year, or there were more?
No, this was in Q4. This Jal Power project was in Q4. No, sorry. Sinnar transmission was in Q4.
And during the year, how many? What was the slippage overall?
I don't think we have any other slippages during the year in the stage 3 year.
Okay. So just one last question from my side. So for government sector, if you can give the stage 2 number outstanding as on date.
That upfront figure is not there. So it is, we club it with stage 1. So if you want, we can reply in, if you can raise it to you, and we can reply.
Sure. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. We would request the participants to please limit your questions to 2 per participant. The next question is from the line of Mahesh MB from Kotak Securities. Please go ahead.
So just 2 questions. One is on the FRMP resolution. What is the kind of recovery rate are you expecting out of that?
So this is under NCLT, and the lenders are deliberating on it. So this will be around 45 to 50%.
Okay. And the second question, sir, of the assets which are available on the ground, like the ones which you mentioned, Lanco, Amarkantak, are these assets operational currently? And how do you see how do you see the buyers in the market today? Because unlike steel, we don't seem to be hearing about too many buyers for thermal plants. What is your assessment on the ground?
So these projects, Lanco, Amarkantak, these has 4 units, 2 of 300 megawatt and 2 of 660 megawatt. So 300 megawatt is operational, and they have a EBITDA of around 300 crores. So as you said it rightly, that there are few takers for these projects who are bidding, and you already know the names. So there is limited number of bidders for these projects.
Sorry, the question is whether it's KSK or Lanco. What is the approach which the organization will take if in case you don't find bidders? Do you see a situation where you can operate these assets as a current standalone units, or you will have to look for liquidation as the only option?
Yes, so these are under NCLT, and if we get a good value, then we will go ahead with that. Otherwise, what you have suggested, we will look at that.
Okay, done. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Jignesh Shial from Emkay Global. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity and congrats for the very good set of numbers, sir. Just confirming it, 86% of your forex loans within 5 years has been covered, right? Is that understanding correct?
Yes.
And what about the more than 5 years?
That are partially covered. And,
Can you quantify how much will it be covered more than 5 years? And if possible, the bifurcation between less than 5 years and more than 5 years.
So our strategy is that within that 0 to 5 years, we find time to hedge that issue. Otherwise, we normally let it open from normally if we are 10 years, then for 5 to 10 years, we are normally letting it open.
Yes, sir. See, if you ask about the swap structures, so 10 years, we are not finding it that there are liquid structures and we can get a good pricing premiums for covering these liabilities. So as sir has said that generally it's our policy or practice, you can say, that we keep it open till 5 years, and once the 5 year they come under 5 years, then we try to cover it slowly.
Understand. Understood. And of the total liabilities which is there with us, is it fair to assume that major portion of it would be maturing within 5 years, or the split would be equal or more tilted towards more than 5 years?
Almost equal.
Almost equal. So 50% of your liabilities would be within 5 years, and of which 86% would be already been covered, wherever the forex exposures had been, that way.
Right.
Correct? Okay. And secondly, just you said there is Jhabua which is supposed to be getting covered, and you give one more name, right? Was it SR?
SR MP, SR Mahan.
SR Mahan, where you are expecting 40 to 50% of the recovery, right? If I'm correct.
45 to 50%.
45 to 50% you're expecting the recovery out here. Perfect, sir. Thanks a lot and all the best. I'll come back for the queue. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sanjay Chheda from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi sir. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So my question was on the MBED, the market-based economic dispatch, which was announced by the Union Power Ministry some days back, which would maybe in a way help DISCOMs in procuring the power at the optimized cost. So how do you see that in conjunction with the recent infusion that we also did in DISCOMs? So are we heading towards structurally change space for DISCOMs, and also are we not seeing any asset quality headwinds as far as DISCOMs are concerned for a meaningful time now? So one on that, and the other on dividend. Last year we paid around a similar amount of dividend about 9.5 rupees, and also from REC it was 11 rupees. This year profits have been much higher than last year due to absence of credit cost, and also margins have been pretty steady. So why the dividend was kept at the same level? So yeah, these were the two questions.
Coming to the first one, the market-based economic dispatch. So at presently, I think these state-level merit order dispatches is happening. So within the state, wherever they have a PPA, so the lowest variable cost plant is being dispatched. So this provides efficiency for the state. But now what is being proposed is being on a national level. So the cheapest power can be sourced from anywhere over the country, and that will, even if they don't have a PPA, so that will going forward reduce the cost, procurement cost for the DISCOMs, and it will be a win-win situation because efficiency would be the paramount importance parameter, and the efficient plant will be dispatched more, and the DISCOMs will get lower cost of power. So it is a good thing which is happening, and I believe that NTPC plants are already under this as a pilot thing which is going on. So this will be a positive thing for the financial health of the DISCOMs as a whole. And the second question with respect to the dividend, so we have paid almost the same level as you had indicated, but this was based on the capital levels which we have. So we have to see that for our business growth and to see that forex fluctuations also. So these and the provisioning. So we have to take a view with respect to that, and based on the DP guidelines, we have provided the dividend this year also.
So, sir, barring this year, wherein the growth was relatively high, do we expect the growth, high growth, to continue over next 2 years? I suppose growth was likely to get muted as we head into FY22.
So last year there was COVID, and the implementation of the projects were slower, but we got this liquidity infusion scheme, and we were able to disperse to the DISCOMs for clearing their GENCO dues. So some of the disbursement will in tranche 2 will happen in this year also, and we believe that the implementation of the renewable, especially the renewable projects, will pick up during the current year, and we should have a reasonable growth going forward. I hope that.
Okay, sure, sir. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Puneet Srivastava from Daiwa Capital Markets. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. So my first question is on this prepayments that happened. So out of this 200 billion, around 20,000 crores, how much was during this quarter, Q4, and how much was the previous quarter?
So it mostly happened in the third and fourth quarter, as I had indicated, because of the liquidity package. The GENCOs, the central sector GENCOs got this their dues cleared, so they were in a position to prepay their loans. And some of the renewable assets also, there was some prepayment, but that was smaller compared to the.
We would request the participants to please stay connected as the line for management got disconnected. We have the management reconnected, so you can go ahead, please.
Sorry, we got disconnected.
Yeah. So my question was that so apart from this prepayment that happened due to the Atmanirbhar thing, was there any other reasons? Probably the corporate scheme you said about some renewal also got prepaid. And how do you see the trends in FY22 in terms of prepayments? And in that regard, so you also mentioned that the loan growth will be just about slightly higher than the current level, which is already very low at 7.5. So do you expect this to touch like double digits in FY22?
So we are expecting good growth this year, as I had indicated, the liquidity package scheme, some disbursement happening this year, and the revival of these renewable projects. And I could not. What first question was? So as we had indicated that we have revised our interest rates, and we have made it competitive with the banks, and going forward, we believe that the state sector projects may not prepay us, and that is the hope with which we had reduced these interest rates.
Yeah, the prepayment primarily happened because one, due to the liquidity available under the Atmanirbhar Bharat scheme with the GENCOs, and the other reason was that there was ample liquidity with the banks. So in few cases, the banks have refinanced the loans, which sir is referring to, and since we have reduced our interest rates, so we are expecting that there will not be any major prepayments going forward.
Okay, my question was also like of this 20,000 crore, how much was coming because of this liquidity scheme, and how much is other than that?
So that exact figure we will not be having, but
it is very difficult
the state sector, it was divided between Q3 and Q4.
Right, sir. And so on this margin front, you mentioned that it should come down to around 3% levels. So in that regard, is this like you're expecting to something like in FY22, or you're seeing in more in the medium term? And like how do you see margins moving in FY22 and even forward?
So in the medium term, we expect this range to be maintained between 3 to 3.25, and last year it was a little bit higher.
Okay, so thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Vipul Shah from Sumangal Investment. Please go ahead.
Hi, sir. My question was regarding this resolution. So that is slide number 18, I think. So what is the recovery over and above the provision for all these 4 accounts?
More or less in line with the provision.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
So you were mentioning about slide?
Yeah, 18. The 4 projects worth rupees 6844 crores, resolved during FY21. So my question is, what is the recovery over and above the provision for these 4 projects?
So it was almost, the recovery was almost similar to the provisioning. I think in some projects the provisioning was little bit more. As far as
So no substantial recovery was there, right?
No, not substantial recovery. We had made provision at a higher level. So as I had indicated that around 45 to 60% was the recovery. And in SR transmission, we had 100% principal recovery. So that was a figure which, average figure which I had indicated.
Yeah, so in some project it was more, in some less. Okay, got it. Okay, sir, and my another question is, sir, what is your collateral when you lend to distribution companies?
So like in this liquidity package scheme, we got a government guarantee.
No, that is one time, but generally when you lend to a distribution company, what is your collateral? That is my simple question.
We have a policy that we, as a principal security, we take charge on assets or state government guarantee. And plus escrow account in the both these cases.
Okay, so you don't lend to the distribution company without any of this thing, whether escrow or state government guarantee.
So that is what security we have.
Okay, sir. Thank you and all the best for the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Maru Padajania from Elara Capital. Please go ahead.
Hello again, sir. Sir, I had one follow-up question. Sir, do you know the status of Lalitpur Park? Would you have any investment there?
No, we don't have any investment.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was the last question. I would now like to hand the conference over to the management for closing comments.
So thank you for this opportunity. We have posted stupendous results, and going forward also PFC would be giving good results. Thank you very much.
Thank you. On behalf of Prabhudas Lilladher Private Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your line.
Thank you.
Thank you.